Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, supposed to be here. You told me to be.
Texted him right now.
Okay. So, obviously, we're all here with expenses on. And I he did
we miss some?
Tom message. He's on his way. Okay, start with that. All right, we're ready. So, like a motion to approve the agenda,
So moved.
Russ? Yeah, thank you. Discussion? Okay, so recognition of visitors, we have Tony tonight. There's student recognition. That's the announcement. So the consent agenda, it looks like they approved some new business actions and some policies, and that's it. Any discussion? And if not, let's call for a vote, all in favor?
Hi.
100%, okay. Recognition of visitors, so we don't have anybody tonight, okay? And
Well, what,
good recognition. So Jerry, I guess we got a, excuse me, Wes, did
oh, no, I was gonna say that the people sitting in the audience are nobodies. I mean, there are people.
They're kind of
No. I'm just, sorry, that's not, yeah, it is.
I know Ryan's back there, so. We'd like him here. All right, so Jerry, what do we have here?
Okay, I wanted to start, we received a copy, the recognition that a community church had for, Tony, and it spurred in my mind something that. Okay. It just brought to the forefront my thinking about his work here, and I'm gonna read some of this for you and then say a few words. So, this person was a student a long time ago at one of Tony's schools. Mr. Tony is one of the many reasons Grapeview School is so special. Every time there is a need for a coach, Tony steps in and leads the kids with kindness and inspires the kids to work hard for them. He's been the guy who helps the students with busybodies and find ways to be productive when a desk and classroom wasn't the option you needed. When Sandhill first opened, he was the maintenance man too. He was the same then. I know I was one of the ADHD helpers who would help him back in the 80s. And I have to believe that he's impacted hundreds of students, if not thousands over the years in his own way. He truly deserves this appreciation, this nod of appreciation. So I'd like to follow that with my messages. I've worked with lots of different schools, and there's maintenance men that are great with fixing stuff and grumpy with kids, and some the other way around, but he has just a marvelous way of managing both. We've gone through a whole lot of stuff lately with the well and the screens and the air conditioning system, and he managed all that without any troubles, without missing a heartbeat, and getting ready for events like musical and etc. But all that while making sure that he took care of the kids, right? Not everybody who's in schools, they don't always think of themselves as educators if they're not in the classroom, but Tony does, and he spends the time to take care of him, and I really appreciate him. And so we wanted you to be recognized in front of the board for all your hard work and keeping the priority of kids. So I want to say thank you for that. So thank you, Tony, for all you do.
And I particularly appreciate hearing those. Helping the personal detail that you. I came out and you failed yourself to give me some meaningful information. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good meters up.
I've seen you working with kids too, and I was inspired to see, he made me feel like the whole school was working toward the same goal. And I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Look there.
Oh, thank you. You have a great puppy.
That too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
I'm going home.
Have a great Christmas too. Because you have another spot on there.
Merry Christmas. Bye. Okay, so the next thing we've got here, Jerry, we have another presentation.
Yeah, we spend a lot of money at the school to keep our internet going and computers in front of kids and one screens and just pretty much everything we do seems to include technology, and Ryan keeps it all running smoothly. And I wanted him to meet him if he hadn't, but also kind of do give us a
Monday became the 20th of school, and our next one is January 22nd. Okay? Make sure that we're calendar. Okay, good. All right. So if there's no more on that, I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Russ,
Second.
Tom, discussion? Okay, I don't see much there other than the normal payroll and stuff, no donations this time, huh? It's been the first time in a long time. Okay, do we need any more questions or discussion on that? If not, I'm gonna call for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 100%. Okay, now we're down to the nitty gritty stuff. Superintendent report.
Teacher passing on to notes.
It's very true.
So I'll start at the top of my list, which is the water thing where we're going well. We're stepping up our testing to twice every 2 weeks, just for a while, just to make sure nothing sneaks up on us. And Tony's building a cover for the top of the wellhead, just an extra level of protection, just to ensure that.
So this will fit over the manway?
Yeah. So we're continuing to monitor that and making sure we're good.
So after it's all said and done, it turns out that the contamination came, you think, from pulling the old pumps out and conduit and reinstalling it unsanitized, is that where we think?
I think that based on my conversations with all of the various people that were involved, that when they reassembled everything, they were not as efficient and effective as it could have been, and so it resulted in a compromised wellhead that'll have some contamination. So I'm not done having conversations on that portion of it, but I'm still collecting my information.
Thank you.
The Salmon Center, we got a new fish tank and filters, so that when you walk out, you'll see the new stuff, and it won't be long till.
That's the empty one.
Yeah, it's new stuff, so won't be long till there's fish. When do you think that?
Well, we're waiting on a couple more things. We need 17 of January. Yeah, so it'll be next week.
Yeah, awesome.
So only because I can't have been asking, what do we have in it, with those cohorts or Chinook? That we-
Co-host? Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We've.
I really love that.
Sorry.
How did you do?
Well, we've been doing this for like 20, 30 years. Oh, Mr. Briggs.
Been a long time. Yeah.
Salmon.
It's fun, and kids go watch it, they
It's
check it.
fun.
Yeah, it's a neat thing. We've begun the process of shopping for a new bus. So we met with one salesperson and we're gonna meet with some others and,
No, Wes had asked you to talk to Walker Trades.
MTA as far as getting on the list for, we surplus buses. When they deem them old, and it's kind of like Ryan deeming, something that is 3 years old, oh, it's so old, and then, so we surplus them out,
okay.
sell them for $1.
So the process for us, that we'll have old buses that we get rid of, so when we buy a new bus that's qualified, then we can start the depreciation process.
Yeah,
And the state will pay us for that bus, and so by the time it's old, we have enough money to buy a new one. And so if we buy something else, we won't be able to collect the depreciation money for it. So essentially,
Spending money to save money.
yeah, so we have some of the old ones that have gone off the depreciation, meaning the state's not paying us anymore. So we're gonna sell those, the one, they're getting old, but two, now we'll have another one on the depreciation list, and so we'll be able to get paid for that, so.
I'm gonna save my comment,
Okay,
because
I have a question. Are we looking for specific things in buses? Like, are we gonna upgrade is there gonna be a camera on there for safety
There's a camera.
purposes? And,
there's a lot of standard expectations,
okay,
and we don't have a lot of extras.
no Apple CarPlay, like that.
We try, pretty simple. And it includes the bus drivers and Central Kids app, who does the maintenance on our buses and those covers.
Do they have a preference of, what vehicle? I'm sure they like to work on a certain engine.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep them in line with the work, the most of the equipment they have, because they have the parts, they have the training, and so.
Mhm.
There's really not a whole lot of options for us, and we consider their needs, and then bus drivers, and then how much the state covers.
what's the brand that we usually go for?
What are our,
Nice.
Thomas?
Can we have like a little snack bar in there? You know?
Coffee, you wanna pay for it, take it.
Well, we're paying for it, we're just, in other ways.
So we have one that's coming off appreciation, and then it won't be too far down the road. Next year, another one will be.
Okay.
And we discovered how important it is to have an extra bus when a windshield breaks or, goes down, you want to be able to get your kids to school, so having that redundancy is really valuable. Apollo's working hard, they'll probably be slowing down here pretty soon, on their work until they get, warmed up. They'll be doing some more of the electrical stuff in February, that's that stuff that you were concerned about, we've had conversations with them, so that's moving along. For the governor has released his budget, and then the legislature will be doing their thing. The big dance will be starting soon. Going into it, I was pretty excited, but then I started reading reports on the budget gap, and who knows we have some serious needs when it comes to MSOCs and special ed and transportation that really end up coming out of levy money. And so we'll see what happens.
Yes, I saw the budget, and it's interesting, especially for an outgoing governor, but the Travis is actually been appointed a ranking member on the appropriations committee, which is, I think, a big deal for being a sophomore. This is his second term, right? So I had a conversation with him, and I think you probably have too, about the need for MSOP funding and all of that. And so I'm cautiously optimistic about it. So anyway, whatever.
I gave this color printout to you just to show you that typically where we're at in terms of the total budget in K-12, but also at the bottom right hand corner, there's a website, a link there that has a whole bunch of other references and kind of plain speak on school funding, and I found it to be pretty interesting if you want to dig into that and see what's going on. A lot of it is WASA stuff, kind of compiling information and bringing it into kind of a historical and manageable ways. So that would be useful for you. And then these. Yeah, okay. And I passed out to you the 5 goals that I would like to keep working on, and I think they're aligned with what we've discussed in the past. The things that are important. And part of my work moving forward, we have a new business manager I'll be teaming with. Still a vision of expanding our CTE. We just dipped our toe into it and collecting a few bots right now, but hopefully we'll be able to expand that moving forward. That's my goal. I talked about our comprehensive calendar of maintenance and facility services, so it's something that started last year. Our insurance company also is interested in me work. That's one of my goals with them. And Tony and Brittany and I are working hard on that. And I think it will be very helpful for the school to move all of that tremendous knowledge of what we do out of Tony's head and into a system where other people could know what's going on. And then later in the year, we'll be negotiating contracts with classified and certificated, so that'll be a big project, potentially. So, and then kind of wrapping up the Apollo project this year. So those are just bigger things that go along with what I'm doing on a day-to-day.
So when we do our offsite, which we'll talk about here later in the agenda, this would be, we literally put these into the
Yeah,
evaluation form, so.
Yeah.
So, anyhow,
Yeah.
good job here.
And that's all I have.
And you're next.
Alrighty, so I've got, just update, but hasn't been that long since I've met, so it's, not that much, but boys basketball is going great. We have, Ryan, Pierce is our varsity coach and, Clay Albert as our JV coach, and they are working together really well. Our boys are doing great. It's two good sized teams. They're Grapeview teams, even if they're not always winning, are always working harder, and we are winning some. So it can be really hard. There's traditionally some teams that are so hard for us to beat. But to see us win at all is always really exciting. It's really fun to play like Pioneer, Terry. Those we can be really competitive with them from sports because they're similar sized schools. It's really challenging to play some of the private schools. Some of them are great, really at our level. Mason County Christian is really fun to play. St. Mike's is really challenging to play often. They're just really competitive, and they're pulling in a lot of really good athletes into those programs. So sometimes those are really challenging. They always make us better players though, but our athletes have really good attitudes, which is refreshing to see. They're really positive about it. Girls basketball starts January 21st. Our enrollment's really solid. So we were feeling a little bit concerned because there's two families that are moving during break, and we're losing four really great students that have been with us a long time. But there's a family of 12 children, and 7 of them are enrolling. Our school yeah, that's what I was saying. They're actually, so we're gonna have a new first grader, new second grader, new third grader, a new fifth grader, a new seventh grader, and a new eighth grader. They've got 4 much older, and they've got 1 too young. So we're excited about that, and they live right here in district, so they've been homeschooling, and then they did a private school in Bremerton for a little while, and that's a lot when you've got a lot of kiddos, so they're really excited that they feel like it's gonna be a really good fit for them, and I'm excited to have them here. So we also have our 4th grade, because we have a set of twins that are moving on the 30th of this month. We had spots for 2 choice kiddos, and none of this big family are coming in from 4th grader, so I was able to accept 2 choice transfer students for 4th grade. So they're also starting on the 6th. So Teresa's really busy because all this paperwork is trying to come in now for registration for 9 kids. So it's a lot, but it's really exciting to see that our enrollment. Oftentimes at this time of the year, and I'm sure you saw this last year as well, we decline. A lot of families move in the winter time, jobs change. So yeah, military, exactly, but it's kind of one of those cycles. But to see kids come in is exciting as well. Last night was the TK first grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade concert with a visit from Santa. Although Santa's outfit is getting, I've got to talk to Goodell's about it. They are in charge of cleaning Santa's, they're the elves, so they clean his outfit, and it needs some updates. It's starting to get a little more wear and tear on it. Funny lost it. But no, it was great. Sandy came out, gave candy canes to the kiddos and got pictures. And the performers were fantastic. Miss Shannon does a great job. The PTSO, came and, purchased, they helped us with the candy canes and securing Santa. And they also brought, a bouquet of flowers. Thank you for Miss Shannon. They helped us set up. The PTSO also helped do a hot cocoa bar in the staff room last week on Monday morning for the staff. The PTSO and I set up tables and they decorated the staff room completely and they left the decorations and they were gonna come and take them down on Friday. But it was really fun. The staff members got to come in and I covered their class for a little while. They got to get hot cocoa and treats, and I really appreciated our PTSO members for helping with that. We have another show tomorrow night for kindergarten, second and fourth grade, so it's gonna be a slightly smaller concert, but it's gonna be a crazy night because we have a home basketball game against Oak Canal. We've got about 30 minutes to change from the basketball game into concert mode. Tony's gonna work late and help, and it's gonna be awesome. We're just gonna get parents to help and volunteer, and we're gonna turn around bleachers and get chairs out and get it all put up. It'll be a busy night. The 12 days of holiday spirit, today is the silly sweater day, which is why some of us are, I guess I'm the only one who's still Christmas, sorry. I haven't gone home yet.
I thought a lot of things.
Yeah, there were some great, kiddos had some great sweaters today. And tomorrow is my favorite one. It's the great holiday clean out or clear out. So we are cleaning the school. The kids are taking everything home and we're gonna reset. They're cleaning out their lockers. We're inventorying textbooks again because some kids have 2 or 3, because there's one here and one here. So we're getting the textbooks back in the classrooms, like the math books, so that they can be counted and checked. Kids are wiping out their lockers. Tony's on one corner, Jamie's on the other corner, and we're down here, we've already got our extra garbage cans set up. So we're gonna clean tomorrow. It's gonna be great here. This is the last hour of the day if you are wanting to come and help, and it's going to be a fun time. And then the final one is 'Twas the Night Before Break, where the kiddos can wear their comfy clothes or PJs to school on Friday. It is a half day on Friday, and we will have milk and cookies, and watch a sing-along that's put on by, our very own Judge Dan Goodell, right before retirement, and our volunteer Ron Grinnell, who volunteers for our STEAM program with us. And they have put together with their trumpets, trombones, saxophones, a sing-along with a bunch of holiday music, and they're dressing up as Grinch characters. It's going to be hilarious. Barb has already sent me pictures of some of Dan's, and like they have this sled that goes from an old man's bench that changes into a sled. And there's Santa. I mean, it's gonna be a blast. We're gonna have a great time. So that's gonna start at 9:30 on Friday morning. And we're really excited. The kids will have cookies and enjoy it. The 16th, January 16th, our 4th grade is performing with the Olympia Symphony and Orchestra, the recorders. That was helped us set up. And so the recorders came in a little while ago, and it's awesome. The 4th graders are working hard on that, as well as the Christmas performance that they're putting on. And I emailed the orchestra a little while ago and I said, okay, Miss Shannon has committed to these 2 pieces to learn really, really well. But the other 4th grades that are performing have had their, they've been set up for this since much earlier in the year. And so they've had a little bit more time. And I said, but the others, she's just touching on and hoping that they practice at home. And he was like, that's perfectly fine. We're gonna get that. That's great. But the kids are really excited.
They're excited about
They
it.
are so excited about it, and we can hear their practices.
I know that,
Really true.
I know that the symphony director was really excited about it too.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, this is gonna be, I hope this becomes a fun tradition that we get to be a part of every year.
Yeah.
And the parents, there's a few parents that are chaperoning that are really excited. The kids are performing at the Washington Center of the Arts, so it's a fun time. It's gonna be neat. January 17th and 18th is the middle school's theater production of Wizard of Oz. And it's already so good. This theater group has been working really, really hard together on this, and I'm very excited. And January 21st, our ASP has, the Martin Luther King Jr. Assembly, and that's going to be in the morning, of January 21st. The 20th is Martin Luther King Day. They usually they try to do it before the holiday weekend, but, that's the productions, 17th, 18th, the productions for the Wizard of Oz. It just was too many things, so we decided on the 21st in the morning. And the ASB will do a great job with that. Other than that, everything's going well. We're really, really excited for winter break. Very excited.
Thank you. Andrea,
All right,
what do you report?
thank you. So I think to start out by telling you that I made a mistake and I'm gonna give you new papers to replace the paper thing. So you will have in front of you. How can we see this? There's on the page with all the numbers and less words. I consolidate some funds together instead of just the general fund, so more numbers than need to be there. Nothing about that today. Okay, so you guys have to let me know if I give you more information or Tracy did less information or what you would like to hear. But to start with, our the balances that we had at the end of November at the county are listed on the top of the first document there. So general fund, we had 606,445. ASB fund had 15,487, capital projects fund 18,642. Transportation vehicle fund at 241,345, and then finally our debt service fund was 259,508. Do you typically go through any more information on there, or besides the last page?
And go to the next one, or however you want to do it, protecting.
Okay, and then on the other document, that has the colors, I did notice a little bit hard to see. I think we need to change the ink in our printer, so if you guys have trouble reading some of the words on the second page, let me know, and I can read other copies. But our projected revenues for the month of December were 294,918. And then projected expenditures at 461,283. And that projected expenditure number is a little bit higher than a typical month would be. We have a couple quarterly payments for our special education program, so a payment to North Mason School District. We make a payment to them for a high needs student that attends there. And then the Shelton School District Co-op, we make that payment quarterly as well. So those are a little bit higher this month than in a typical month, but that leaves us with a projected ending fund balance of 442,484, which is right in line with what December last year was. Enrollment, looking at enrollment, we're almost identical to the month before. I think we dropped down by one student, and then we had one additional student in our CTE program, so. It's nice to see an increase in CTE, especially if that's a program that we're looking to grow here.
Well, before you go there, one note that you have there about the projected ending fund balance in the general fund is 442, then you talk about this, a restricted balance of 52,686, which is the carryover from 23-24 unspent TK revenue.
Yes, our transition to kindergarten program, we get revenue for that program that we're only allowed to spend in that program. And we didn't spend all of the revenue we received last year. So we have carryover that we can spend this year or in the future years.
So
but we're
it's
required.
still without control.
Yeah, we're just required to set it aside, so it can't be spent on anything else.
Oh, thank you. So we're budgeted at 210 and we're running with 222. So when I was a little confused there with the in and the out, we net up. It looks like we lose some kids, but we net up.
We're losing 4, we're gaining 9, so that.
And one family like 7.
And
Okay, thank
another
you.
one in the future.
I thought my house was loud. I have a question. So the presentation by Ryan kind of reminded me of a conversation that happened years ago when we were having an IT discussion, and I think the board at that time had talked about a IT reserve, right? So to replace things as they age out. How, we're still doing that, right? We still have a reserve for that.
I'll speak to that.
Thank you, because I
We
can look
still
too.
have to set aside approximately 20,000 in each year's budget. We don't accumulate it, we set it aside
Got
to be used for replacement.
Right, okay, all right, and I didn't mean to look to her, I wasn't figuring that you would have
I was already.
the knowledge of that conversation, right?
I was already looking, but I am familiar with that. I actually made a note when Ryan was talking to
Yeah.
ask Jerry and you about that. I have in my prior districts and what districts do sometimes when they're
Yeah.
planning for a cliff like that,
Mhm.
especially when we had the ESSER funds who were allowed to buy this big chunk of laptops that will, or the Chromebooks that will expire all at the same time. What we can do is use similar to that TK, we can set aside in one thing, the management of the district can decide to say, we will set aside this much this year and not spend it different than just budgeting to spend it every year, but to build up enough.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I think that's what the conversation was years back when, you know, we were talking about how technology ages out so fast, right? And to be prepared for putting a lot more technology into the school than was already here. And, you know, we needed a way to make ourselves prepared to pay for it. So it sounds like we're budgeting 20,000 a year. Okay,
Some we've spent as the years have gone on.
yeah, some we have it, right?
And we haven't, it to the best of them, so.
So where does that show up there somewhere in the infrastructure budget that we were building for these expenses?
We have not set aside in this last year's budget that line item like Henry was doing, but you certainly could do that.
Yeah. All right.
I think that would be good. So, nice job.
I had a couple more comments. Jerry's still my thunder on the transportation, so I'll you know what you said. Everything that I was going to mention anyway. And then the other big thing that happens twice a year in December, we did make a payment on our bonds. That was
Yeah.
big. And there's updated numbers that you can see the ending balance on our bond that matures in 2033.
So, backing up just a little bit on the transportation side, there's 241, 345. If we were to buy a bus, we have to pay for it initially, and then that money's come back in the depreciation to this account.
Yes.
What is a bus cost these days?
They started around 150,000. The Washington State has a bus price that they think a bus would cost, and a starting number. Districts can then add if they want to do the heated seats for the drivers, like you mentioned. It's an option, you really can. Air conditioning, sometimes, you know, Eastern Washington, they'll do air conditioning on the buses, we don't do that up here, so they can be more expensive, but starting at 150-ish, we have enough to buy one.
So, one of the things that and sometimes you draw conclusions that aren't accurate. One of the, I'm not gonna say it's a pet peeve, but it certainly gets my attention is when you see a school bus that is less than 50%. So I'm assuming we will size the bus for our need.
They're pretty
We'll get a standard bus. There's no sense in getting a smaller bus because you can put less kids in a big bus, but you can't put more kids in a small bus. And so.
I should be ready.
I'd like to see.
And you could go- We could have some. Can you strike that?
Done.
I'm sorry.
They do have different sizes, the standard size big bus, you can buy different capacities, but it doesn't usually financially make sense to buy one that's just a little bit smaller.
And I trust you folks, I'm just And always see it, I'm thinking, God, do we need that big of us? But we don't.
Hey, we want the best for our children. That's the
And
We want their tushies to be.
yeah, and then,
Well
was
supported.
that latte stand?
Oh, yeah, the snack bar.
Okay, we're gonna move on here unless there's any more questions. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
bye, guys. Okay, so.
By the way, that was a great party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you enjoy yourself? Good.
Well, we're down here to new businesses, approved resolution 1218. Okay, so I'd like a motion to approve resolution 12.18 on 24A designation for technology. So moved. That's Tom, second. Need a second here.
Oh, a second, I'm sorry, I thought you
Okay,
did.
sorry.
You did.
Okay, discussion. So Jerry, walk us through this.
It's just a matter of, the business that we need to do, switching over to that.
Oh, this is really gets down to signature changes to
All that kind of stuff.
Andrea versus. Okay. Gotta get my head around it. Been a week since we talked.
And you could say,
Okay, so this is,
All three of them are related to.
so then, so if we approve, which one is the date, so this just changes Tracy's to,
For the bank, yeah, this is all related. I don't even have a copy of them in front of me, but they're all related to the business that she needs.
I can explain what they are, if that would help. So the first one is the designation of the auditing officer. The state requires that every school district have an auditing officer that looks at all the accounts payable and payroll payments to make sure that we're paying things appropriately and legally. The second one is authorization to invest funds at the county. We have cash and we have investments, and for us to tell the county to invest funds in a county investment pool, we require the district designate who's allowed to do that. Because not everybody could just call up the county and say, hey, invest these funds. And then the last one is for the signers on our actual bank account. So we have a bank account that's on file, and we need to designate who's a signer on that bank account.
and we can find her with the first two as well.
Yes. So it's taking Tracy's name off of those and adding my name.
Okay, so what I probably should have done is ask for. Just do these one at a time. Okay, so we've had the discussion on 12.18, 124A. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 100%. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve 1218 24B, authorization to invest funds.
So moved.
Tom,
second,
Deb, okay, discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
100%. And then, of course, motion to approve, designation of account signer Andrew Cooper.
I make a motion.
Second.
second,
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
100%. Okay, good. Andrew, here, got the power of the pen. Okay, next item. Old business interaction items. Legislative update, Tom.
Don't have an update for you at this time.
When does it kick off, by the way?
January, no,
Yeah, January something,
January something.
Okay.
January 5th or something.
And so right now they're talking about a budget shortfall of, I saw the number, 12 million? A big number.
We're gonna be able to talk about it at the board retreat.
All right, thank you. So board retreat date is an action item, so we didn't make the November date for various reasons, and so looking at calendars here, is there any way we should try to pull it off earlier, like say the 4th of January, or move it to the 11th?
Maybe the 24th of December.
Interesting concept.
So what were you saying now?
House.
Yeah.
Dinner provided.
Frankly.
We'll be happy.
So what do we think for dates?
I can't do the fourth.
Can't do the fourth, okay, how's the 11th?
I think that's good for me.
It's good for me.
Tom, Jerry? I can make the 11th work. Okay, so let's do the board retreat. Yeah, because this, we're getting to the point as was noted in one of the last meetings, we need to get this done, and so this is good, so. GSC 54.
9 AM.
Actually, we started at 8 last time. So now, when we did this before, Brittany, we had talked about changing locations. We mentioned that when we decide for a location, do it here.
That was,
Alan was charging us $200.
They reduced it, didn't they?
they reduced it to $75
Oh.
at the Port of Allen.
It's a great spot.
It is, yeah, at 200, I was questioning it, that
So
price.
it's not that, I'm just mad that they came up with that number first and they go, oh, that's less than half, but they're half off.
I think they realized that that wasn't something that was furnished in the contract originally when they agreed to let us use it, and so they went back and renegotiated it, yeah.
So if we go 8 to noon, what we're looking at? Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody, for getting our heads around this.
Wait,
Okay.
they
Are
realize,
we bringing breakfast?
Yes.
Yeah,
they realize what? What was the 200 supposed to include?
The time for whoever went and unlocked and then locked back up, and then some custodial
Okay,
work, yeah. And I mentioned it was new, we'd never been charged before, so
yeah.
that's
okay.
when they came up with the
It's
seven.
good that they came to their senses.
So it's like,
We've always taken really good care of the facility when we use it.
cleaned up our mess, you would know we were
yeah.
there. Okay, so now we're down to no new policies, but the policy approval, so let me go through these one at a time. I'd like a motion to approve policy 3241, student discipline.
I so moved.
Deb, second.
Second,
Russ, discussion? If none,
Yeah, I have,
excuse me.
I read through it today again after looking at it earlier, and it's just really over the top. And it's redundant in several spots,
yeah.
and it's frustrating.
A lot of it was also renaming the discipline to some alternative,
Right.
and it's watered down. Again, I look at Jerry and Hannah, we need this kind of stuff to run this business, right?
Yeah, you have to have this one policy, basically state law.
Well, do you have to have this discipline policy?
Well, I would say that, you would pay somebody an extensive amount of time to go through and write a policy that would line up to state law, which is what they've done. We both read it and felt like, that we can continue to do our quality work and have the judgment and maintain a quality learning place environment, inside this policy.
The other aspect that was frustrating for me is the amount of documentation, the amount of training and categorizing. It just goes on and on and on. We're gonna have more book work, paperwork, and it's gonna get done by somebody in here.
Yeah, but I think for discipline that needs to be done, so the parent can't come back and say, you did this and you didn't follow through, and we can go back and go, yes, we did. We've got paperwork from here and here and here to support the case.
I know, but that's sad.
Yeah.
Sad that we have to
When
do
you,
that.
when you have an issue with the same student over and over again, you want that documentation.
Well, yeah. What were you gonna say, Hannah?
I was just gonna say, I did have a parent come to me recently and say, I need to know that things are documented. I don't feel like they are. I feel like we've had these similar problems over and over again. And I thought about it and I got defensive a little bit, and I thought, you know what? When my own kids were in the school system and there were problems or concerns, I understood what the system was And I had that was kind of my privilege. I didn't know what was happening with the consequences in those situations, obviously that's protected under FERPA. But I knew that there was a system in place. And so explaining to the parents that how I document, why I document, how I sign off on things, how everything gets listed in Skyward under, discipline procedures, so I can see patterns as a student. How often have they used inappropriate language, violence? How often and what dates fall under this? I can see all of those lists. So we can see patterns of behavior. This is lengthy and tiresome, but it is 100% being done on a very firm basis, and we have the documentation to prove it. We are incredibly intentional with our documentation, because when we have, parent concerns and things like that, we want to be able to say, this is our system, it is working, this is how we see patterns of misbehavior. I don't personally, I feel like our hands are tied so often with what the state requirements are. But fortunately, I do feel like this is the system that we are working in. We are doing everything we can to make sure that we have strong documentation, that we are seeing patterns of misbehavior, recognizing repeated victims of those patterns, so that we're able to put in mitigating measures to support students. So it is happening already, like the documentation is happening insanely.
Interesting, this was last updated February 23, and here we are a year later. So,
Well, it's you guys that have to operate within it, so I'm happy to give it to you. I'm not the one doing it, so.
anyone? Okay, any discussion, Deb?
No.
Okay. Let's vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'd like to have a motion to approve policy 3420, asphyxiation, anaphylaxis prevention response.
Yeah, so
Excuse me. All in favor,
I move that we approve policy 3420.
I second it.
Discussion? Now, this is the one with the, let's see now, but that's the no view, this is the, so this is the heavy man, okay. Anything, any more discussion around 3420?
No.
Good policy.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve 3420 for opioid related overdose reversal.
Move that we approve policy 3424.
Wes,
Second.
Tom, discussion?
I have a discussion. Where it's highlighted and naloxone will not be confiscated from students. I feel like that's very broad. What if a student brings it to school and uses it against a student's will, or has ill intentions for other students or on themselves? I don't know the complications of this drug. If a kid does get it unintentionally, what it can do to them. Can you guys educate me on that at all? And then, I also worry, where can they access this device to use it if they need be in an emergency?
I think it would be with removing that highlighted thing, because I'm not gonna let a kid just walk around with.
Right? Cause
So that's a very-
I have an issue with that.
Yeah, I would be okay with taking that. Sorry, because I can very much see that.
And also a parent could come in and be like, well, I want my student to have that, or,
This-
there needs to be some leeway.
Is this language that the state wanted? Yeah, and so what happens if we remove that? Do we just wait for them to tell us that's not? Okay,
And
because I think Andrew's right. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know why they would say that or want it.
I don't really understand.
So-
that would be. And it's not even referenced in the, doesn't have a
it doesn't
legal
say,
reference there either, so I'm like, I had a kid walking around with it, I would not, I would take it. And contact their parent.
Do these have to be prescribed to a student?
No.
Where?
So.
We have it located places and it's secure and, I don't know why a kid would have it, we would, if they did, we would have a conversation with them.
So then, do we want to then pull this out for discussion today and make the change to the next meeting?
You can, or you could just.
Draw a line through it.
Draw a line
Vote
or.
on it today.
Okay, all right. So, do we need to,
Amend the motion.
Yeah, we would need to amend as revised. So I move to, I amend my motion to approve policy 3424 as revised, removing the words and then added on, yeah, the highlighted section.
Second.
okay, Wesley, Tom, sounds like we've had discussion, let's vote on it, all in favor?
I
100%. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve policy 5005, employment and volunteer. Disclosure certification requirement.
I move to approve policy 5005.
Second,
Second.
done, discussion? I didn't find, when I read through this, I didn't find anything that jumped out at it.
Very much what we do.
Good. All right, any more questions? Gonna call for a vote, all in favor?
I
100%, okay, we're done with the business side, so future agenda. January board, we have the takeover. So how does that work? When you say takeover, do they somehow know we're coming and they close the doors except for?
No, so what happens is our kids and us go in and we, work, we serve, we clean tables, we pick up garbage, we empty garbage cans. We clean trays, we can't handle food because we're not employees, even if we have food handling, permits, but we do everything else, like clean out the playground area, the ball pit, and we go out to Highway 3 and wave signs and encourage people to come in, and we give out coupons, as they come in, that also count towards, donating, so we take over in that sense of the word. Mhm. Mhm.
If we go through the drive-through, do we have to mention you, or do they just, is that automatically?
It's automatically, yeah, you go through.
Yes, for a specific time frame.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
For those 2 hours,
for those
any
2 hours.
revenues they make, we get?
We get like a percentage of it.
Oh.
Last time we made, I think, 1,200 or something dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was great for 2 hours.
I missed that, what did you say?
Like 1,200 and something.
Okay. All right, January, of course, we'll do the retreat and the mid-year evaluation. February board, we had, you're gonna do the crisis response training for staff and students, so that was not necessary for the board meeting, you would just report out that, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then, the fundraiser now, the Boathouse Pasta Night, now that's where we line up and give them the e-box
Yeah.
take over too.
So they're normally closed on Wednesday nights and they, the past couple of years, they've opened on Wednesdays on a night when they're not normally open to just for our fundraiser. Again, they keep a portion of it just to pay their staff, but our kids do a ton of the work, in clearing tables, wiping messes, cleaning up the floors, encouraging people to come, greeting them at the doors, they act as hostess, hosts and hostesses and seat everybody. And it's a limited menu, it's like 3 pasta items, that you can order, so it's very limited menu. But yeah,
But the public is welcome to get
the
it.
public is welcome. Last time was, it was crowded, it got really, which is great, it was very exciting.
They closed the bar side.
Right.
They closed the bar side,
They didn't last time, they did it at one point,
okay.
because it got too full, but, they, obviously the bar side is only for 21 and older. But yeah, they'll.
The kids got working there.
No, the kids cannot work in there.
All right. Any additions to those 2 future agenda items, anybody can think of?
No.
Tom, we'll have, obviously, we'll continue to put you down for legislative updates, so you're.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Oh, man, I tell you, this is crazy stuff to get over. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do reflections, so I'm gonna start with Wes.
Okay, I really enjoyed Ryan's talk. I kind of geek out about that stuff and, really like the fact that he's thinking, forward and about expenses that we don't need, right? Because I mean, think of your own lives. How many of us are on a monthly payment for something that we signed up for way back when?
Yeah.
And, you know, and we just kind of take it for granted because it's, you know, just a little bit of money every month and you just, right? And so anyway, I just really like that. I really enjoyed Tracy's retirement party. I was hoping to see Pam there. And did anybody hear from Pam?
She's, the last piece that I got back, she's not doing real well.
Oh,
She had taken a fall out here,
Still,
and she's
though.
now living with her, I think her daughter in Tacoma.
okay.
Yeah, so Tom, have you heard from her more recently?
No, but I know the same information.
I'd love to get a mailing address and I can write her a little note, but anyway, so it was nice to see Tracy and Mike retiring at the same time.
Yeah.
And then some of our previous superintendents, you know, not the best one, of course, but you know, Jay Hambley and Kurtz and, you know, and it was just really, it was,
I heard Jim Snyder was there too.
He was.
well, I didn't see you, so, you know, whatever. We came, I only showed up for a short period of time to drop a card off, but I really enjoyed it and I'm looking forward to Christmas and looking forward to next year.
Tom?
I've had a lot of interaction in my career with IT people. And most of them talk really fast. And as soon as Cosgrove started talking, I thought, this guy's dialed in. And I don't think we could have asked him a question that he couldn't have given us a good answer for and gone into extreme detail if we were willing to let him do it. And, you know, I've sat in here, I've never seen the guy before. I've sat in here at a lot of board meetings and sometimes there'd be questions on the expenses of, what's this Cosgrove, you know? And after listening to him and his willingness to provide us with good information on his report and some ideas and suggestions about where we're gonna be looking at issues, I'm delighted that it's in his hands. The retirement party was a lot of fun. And I'm really excited about working with Andrea Cooper. Welcome aboard, girl.
And now you have the power.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry you're done, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. The person is probably a little nerve-wracking, I would imagine, I don't know, but thank you. I thought that Tracy's party was nice. I miss Jim, son of a gun, I let me change clothes. So darn. The concert last night, if you have a chance to go tomorrow night, go, because last night was adorable. Of course, the little kids with their little dresses and their little boots and stuff are cute, but the parents and the grandparents are also darn cute. I mean, their little faces just light up, and people you would never imagine are standing up and waving and thinking, I bet they don't do that in church. So, and they are, kids from Friday night. I mean, but it's wonderful. I thought the presentation about IT today was great. I am so old, I can remember bringing computers into schools and how frightening it was to think that we had that much power and kids had that much power. And he made it so that we could understand what he was saying. And I like the fact that it's a penny pincher like we are. So that's a wonderful thing. So it's been a busy month, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
I'm happy that we celebrated Tony. I think Tony is a gem in the rep for us, and especially like, you know, he loves his job. You could see it. I hear it from my son.
And for him to step up for football too, he didn't get recognized for that, and I think that's a big thing as well. I'm happy to see the energy here. I love holidays, so, you know, this is probably the best time to have kids here.
Mm.
And, I'm excited to see what the new year is. I'm ready to hit the ground running and, hopefully we can pass some good stuff.
So before I give it up to Jerry, so I too will say, Andrew, thank you. Welcome,
Thank you.
looking forward to long relationship, so, thank you. And, I'm gonna attend tomorrow night, or Friday night, I look for things that make me happy, and those kids make me happy when they're with presentations, so. Anyway, it's been an interesting year that we've been through. You stopped, about a year ago when we talked about, I think Tracy announced her retirement plans and the daunting effort that we were having to go through to replace her. So it's been a long time coming, and a lot of good things have happened, and I appreciate your tenacity on that. E. coli working with, is it Nicholson that you're working with? Yeah. And same thing with me, Merry Christmas. Sure, I'll let you finish up.
I'd have to say with Ryan, we really get a great deal with working with him. He's marvelous, he's articulating, very responsive, and he's a bargain, so it all works. And I've known him for a few years because he worked for Nikki too, so he's a great man. And then gratitude, which is a character that we covered with kids, for Tony, which we talked about. I was so thankful that the church gave him that certificate, because it really touched on what I think. Whereas I think Ryan Maxwell has a book on leadership, and one of the things he said is that you can lead from any position in a facility. It doesn't have to just be the superintendent. And he does that. He leads in how we treat kids, and so I'm grateful for him that way, which is why we brought him in today. So that's it.
Can I say one more thing? That party it worked because you worked hard, nobody even, I don't know if everybody knows how hard you worked, and Sherry, I had a previous engagement, I got there like at 10 after 12, and I don't even know how many chairs were, desks, or tables and chairs, and the fancy paper, everything was set up at 10 after 12, and then we just did some other stuff, but it wasn't, I want to make sure that Brittany and you get credit for that, and Sherry worked tail off.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really good.
Good job. Okay, let's show for the record that at it's 6:47, the meeting's adjourned.